Justin Morton led wire to wire to claim his first win of the season 1 week ago at the legendary Martinsville Paperclip. Now we head down to the Peach State to Lanier National Speedway. This 3/8 mile speed plant will be host to J.R. Shepard defending his points lead, James Lowe still recovering from a missed week, and a slew of other hungry competitors looking to land their first win of the season. And you will see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Chris Phobie, and joining me tonight will be Devin Henry. At the control center is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Bootleg Racing League here at Lanier will be putting on a very racy show at this little short track that has hosted all of the top short track series in the nation. We will now take a look at what goes into the perfect lap here in the chicken capital of the world.
Lanier National Speedway, now known as Lanier Raceplex, finally started seeing racing again here just a few years ago. Before the track went silent in 2011, it was a common feature on touring short track series schedules across the southeastern United States. From super late models, street stocks, and legends, they all were here. The Wayland Modified Tour and ARCA even made some stops here as well. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, the Grand National Series, now Xfinity Series, made 5 stops here. The last, 1992, won by eventual NASCAR Cup Series champion and fellow iRacer, Bobby Labonte. The track has since reopened and been given a facelift. Nowadays, mostly go-karts and legend cars takes their turn around this facility, but occasionally, the rumble of V8s can be heard, and not just at nearby Road Atlanta, as super late models have raced around Lanier as recently as November of 2019, as a prelude to that year's Snowball Derby in Pensacola. Enjoy today's race.
And that's what goes into making the perfect lap here at Lanier National Speedway. Going to bring in my co-host tonight, Devin Henry, to give us a little bit more detail on what makes this little track so special.
Well, Lanier National Speedway are now known as Lanier Raceplex after it was sold and repurchased, and now it's just kind of a black lagoon, but we have the old school Lanier. This oval, about 5 to 11 degrees of banking. You still have that little bit of banking on the front and the back straightaways into the corners here. This track, 0.38 technically miles. You guys probably more so know it as a 3/8 oval, and it's going to feel more like a circle. You're almost going to be having that wheel turned about the entire time. And this track, boy, it's going to be a premium on passing, but you hit that throttle just a little bit too much, you're spinning that car right around tonight.
And instead of somebody that had to deal with some spinning right around last week, Chris Wolfson had a very exciting race at the Martinsville Speedway 1 week ago, and looking to avenge himself here tonight at Lanier. Chris, how's the car feel?
A little bit on the loose side tonight. It feels a little loose out on the track right now.
Now, looking at the driver bio, your bio sheet said that you're a middle school principal.
Yeah, I am.
I imagine that's probably got some skills that you can transfer over to the racetrack, patience and things like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it also cuts into things like practice and things you need like that.
Now, you said the car felt particularly loose. From what you've been able to observe, is that something that you in particular are feeling with this setup, or do you think it's going to be a universal problem we see throughout the night?
Well, I think the track's the same for everybody, and tire model's the same for everybody, so I think everybody's probably going to deal with a little bit of a loose race car. It's just a matter of who likes to drive a car like that.
Now, with a 100 lap grind, one set of tires, and all the normal stuff you have to deal with, what's going to be your trick to being there at the end?
I think we're just going to try to hang around, try to save the tires, and see if we can just come around. Anywhere in the mid-pack's probably a good result for us.
Sounds good. Well, Chris, Devin, did you have anything for Mr. Wolfson here?
Well, hey, I'll take one that, as an iRacer and as an observer, I'm always curious about. All short tracks are always on the bottom, but how does this track in particular make it difficult to pass?
Well, it's a wide track, so there's some room, and you can kind of get a run and dime in the corner and maybe get a run down on the inside. That's usually your best bet, is try to get them coming off the corner down low. I think it's a long way around the outside.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us, Chris. We'll let you get back to hot laps here and try to get that car dialed in.
Thanks.
All right. That was Chris Wolfson. You see him on your screen in the 17 car, looking to have a rebound performance. He had a tough one. I think pretty much the whole series had a tough showing at Martinsville 1 week ago, Devin.
Yeah, and that's just part of what Martinsville brings, a little bit of chaos on that little paperclip there. And, of course, you got to bring out that Krone horn whenever you can because, man, passing is so hard at so many of these short tracks that the Grand National Series runs in, and specifically tonight, it makes it even more difficult having just one lane on a track that, like I said, it's going to be really tough. Just like you're in oval, as we actually see the principal, Chris Wolfman, go around there. And last season when these guys raced here, weather is set randomly, and last season it was actually 10 degrees warmer. Think about how much more slick that track was. Well, tonight it's still slick. Think about it, this was in the daytime with the sun beating down on it, and it's just one of those tough tracks where after you get your line together, if you're not starting first, then you need to figure out, okay, now how do I pass someone and keep this car straight?
Well, speaking of slick, let's take a look at our point standings for the season here. And J.R. Shepard is looking pretty slick atop the standings now, a 20-point advantage over our winner from last week, Justin Morton. So not out of the realm of possibilities that Morton could possibly break his way back into championship contention. Matt Shinosky and Donnie Moore are hanging in there as well. And James Lowe missed a race, lost some ground, but he's slowly clawing his way back in after a runner-up performance last season. So just 42 markers separating first to fifth. Still a pretty tight championship race with quite a few races remaining. And speaking of quite a few races remaining, we do want to touch on our sponsor for tonight, as they have been every night so far, the Cruise Shop. The Cruise Shop has been in operation since 1986. They are a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. They specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney and family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation. Give them a call today, 260-755-6125, or visit thecruiseshopfw.com. The Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams, one destination at a time. And there's plenty of drivers out there that would have the dream of Victory Lane being their destination tonight. What's some of the things you're observing here during hot laps, Devin?
Well, like we said, we talked about how slick the track is. We talked about how it's one lane. Another thing that I'm really looking at is how you are going to pass and what you do with those opportunities. We saw last night in the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series that restarts were where a lot of guys made up a lot of room. Well, how about tonight? How is that going to be any different? Well, you look back at this race last season, the race actually ended under caution, a slew of cautions at the end that helped bring a few guys up in the pack, including James Lowe. He was a little bit further in the pack, brought it home on the podium. There's a good chance that we see some more cautions here tonight. How do you take advantage of those opportunities? And boy, it's just tough to start on the outside here at these short tracks. I mean, if you start second, it essentially feels like you're starting third or fourth because you have to move back a couple of spots because you're not in that primary lane.
And we were kind of sitting in watching the SK Modified race that the Bootleg Racing League puts on every night at the very same track that they race with these Grand National cars. And that one had a lot of cautions in it as well. A 3/8 mile track is pretty small, especially for this type of big, heavy stock car. And I think we're going to see things get pretty physical out there as this race goes on.
And as you talk about the modified race, two guys who I'm really watching. First of all, Justin Morton. He's on a hot streak. He won last week at Martinsville in the Grand National Series, but he also won the race in the modified series earlier in the day as well. And then today, the guy who's probably the favorite, the guy who's fastest right now in this practice session, J.R. Shepard, just coming off the win earlier in the modifieds for himself. Do we see back-to-back weeks of a sweep on Saturday night?
That's another good point. With a driver like J.R. Shepard, this track definitely favors his driving style. Now, for those of you tuning in for the first time with the Bootleg Racing League, you'll notice we are still in practice. Normally by this point in the broadcast, we'd probably be in qualifying. This series does not qualify. In fact, we're going to look at our details here. This is the 5th of 11 races on this season. It's going to be a 100-lap distance here at Lanier National. They are allowed one fast repair, but they do have to make the tires last the entire distance. And once again, as we were touching on just a second ago, they do not qualify in this series. They'll take the top 8 finishers from 1 week ago, and they will invert it. So the 8th place finisher from last week at Martinsville will be starting on the pole, and our winner, Justin Morton, will be having to come from 8th place on the grid to make it back up to have a threat at making it a two-peat in this division.
And those are two things that I absolutely love that make this series so unique. First of all is the tires. You have to run 100 laps on the same amount of tires. You have to adjust to what your car gives you, what your tires give you. Once we get to, 30 to go, 20 to go, because those tires are going to change on this track surface. And then, of course, that invert and the fact that qualifying is just the results of last week's race. For everyone under 8th, it's where you finished last week. So if you had a really bad amount of luck at Martinsville, if you were taken out in the first 10 laps, nothing of your fault, just a racing deal, and you finished last, well, guess what? Time to start last next week as well. And, of course, the invert is just fun as well because the guys who were fast last week now need to prove that they are still just as fast and move through the field.
Yeah, it's almost like when you had too much to drink the night before and you wake up in the morning with a headache and you don't know where your pants are. You have one bad week and it just carries over into the following race. So we are finishing up hot laps here in the last 30 seconds. J.R. Shepard is top of the charts. James Lowe second. Joe Segala, Justin Morton, and Brian Dean are your top 5 quickest. We'll have your grid here for you once practice concludes. You can see Chris Wolfson, who we did the interview with just a little bit ago, a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native, middle school principal, which is a job I don't think you could pay me enough money to do. As a clock ticks down, so these guys will get parked, get gridded up, and we will hop over to our starting lineup for the 100-lap main event here for the Bootleg Racing League. All right, now we're going to take a look at our starting grid. 8th place finisher last week, Ruben Altice, will be starting on the pole. He ran very strong in the SK Modified race earlier today with a top 3 finish. Jason Menda will be outside pole with Donnie Moore starting inside of row number 2. James Lowe 4th. Brian Dean and J.R. Shepard compose that 3rd row with Justin Morton and Chris Wolfson in row 4. Bruce Pearson and Kurt Smith will complete your top 10.
Row number 6, Mike Allen will be on the inside starting 11th. Austin Belkey in the 24 outside of row 6. In the 7th row, John Hine will start off in 13th in the 71. Joe Segala outside of him in the 81. Row 8, Brad Speidel kicks things off in the 15th position in the number 76. Mike Holloway in the 31 and 16th. And rounding out your field is the boss man, Joel Jewell, excuse me, saying the wrong guy, in row number 9.
Yeah, not Jewel like the singer. She is, I don't think she's a relation. But who knows? I've seen foolish games played before.
Hey, there you go. There we go.
Starting it off hot tonight. So Ruben Altice and Jason Menda will be your front row. A couple of very nice looking race cars leading them around.
You gotta love a throwback scheme, and of course these cars are notorious for having some of the best schemes in iRacing.
That is one thing for sure. The BRL does great with those beautiful schemes as the green flag is out. Ruben Altice off to a great start. Plenty of room for Menda to get down there to the yellow line. So he will slot back into the second spot. Battle for third right now. James Lowe rocking a new scheme this week with the 23 of Brian Dean to his outside. These drivers are going to be fighting to get to that bottom line as quick as possible.
And you see Dean trying to force his way, get to that inside, because he has James Lowe on the outside of him right now, trying to push him. They're trying to make that outside work. Lowe and Shepard right now on the outside are actually putting up a pretty good fight. And Lowe actually almost has enough momentum here coming off a 2 to take over that 4th place spot. Maybe these guys are going to prove me wrong here and try to get an outside lane going.
Well, if there's 2 drivers that can make that outside line happen, it's definitely James Lowe and J.R. Shepard. As Lowe gets way high up the track and caution flag is out.
Boy, so already caution flag number 1.
Yeah, it looks like a slew of cars on the straightaway there. It looks like it might have been Brad Speidel involved. Taking a look here at what was going on with him and just looped it off of turn 4, Devin.
Yeah, it looks like might have had a little bit too much gas there on corner exit, and that's just one of the tough parts about this place is, you know, a lot of you guys who run short tracks on iRacing, you know it's so difficult to be on edge when you're on corner exit and not have the little bit of antsiness to just slam on that gas, and that's just kind of what happened there all alone there from Brad Speidel. Heads to the very tail of the field now.
And that's going to make for a long march here. We're on lap number 6. Caution laps do count in this division. So it's still Ruben Altice out in front with Jason Menda second. Altice got off to a very good start, Devin, and that actually worked out in Jason Menda's favor because Donnie Moore maybe caught napping a little bit, and that opened the gap for Menda to get right down to the bottom of the track.
Yeah, I said earlier, when you start second, it's almost like feeling you're going to start third because that guy on the inside of you, behind you, is probably going to end up passing you, but Menda able to find a way down as soon as possible. But this early in the race, you also don't want to push that. If you take a lot and you don't give very much, you're probably going to have a lot taken from you later on in the race.
Now, for those of you that may be familiar with the Lanier Raceplex, obviously what you see on iRacing vastly different from how the track sits today. This is thankfully an older scan where it's not just one giant sheet of blacktop. And it looks like the field is doubled up. Pace car pulling off, getting ready to get back underway. Green flag is back out. Another great start by Altice, and looks like Menda once again able to get down to the bottom of the track. Altice leaves a gap. Oh, they make contact. Altice goes around. They keep it pointed in the right direction, but Menda and Altice are just going to lose a slew of positions. They do recover. They're able to go on, and now the caution flag is out.
Well, I guess Donnie Moore was in the right place at the right time there. He's going to end up inheriting the lead, and that was just a case of fighting for real estate. It's just really early in the race for that.
Yeah, it did. Definitely looks like that could have gone better. Looked like Ruben Altice left the door open, and unfortunately Menda gets in there. Looks like the caution was actually drawn for the 59 of Mike Allen, trying to park it in victory lane. Unfortunately, he was a little bit premature.
Yeah, still guys trying to figure out their throttle. We saw a ton of guys at the end of practice still trying to find exactly where do you put that premium on your throttle, because eventually you're just going to end up whipping around. And as the tires grow older as well, as we mentioned, only one set, man, it's just going to get tougher and tougher to be coming off the corners.
Yeah, that is for sure. And, a lot of these guys did race the SK Modified the last time around. This is a drastically different car than the SK Modified. We're probably looking at least 1,000 pounds weight difference, different tire, different engine configuration. I mean, everything is pretty much the exact opposite of what you have with the SK Modified. These are big, heavy cars with a lot of smoke under the hood. And for a lot of these guys, what worked in the SK Modified will not work on this car.
And I'll be the first guy to say it. Man, that can get tiring. They ran 60 laps on this brutal Lanier track in the modifieds. Now you got to do 100 more. So I tell you what, man, 160 laps at this place, that gets tiring.
Yeah, that's driver fatigue is real. And Donnie Moore is now our leader. Green flag is back out. And looks like J.R. Shepard not going to get caught napping in the third spot. He's already the inside of the 23 of Brian Dean for the runner-up position. It's going to be Shepard pulling ahead, it looks like, off the corner, but Dean is actually doing a pretty good job of hanging in there.
Yeah, that second lane looks like it's kind of forming up all right. You can see behind all the leaders, there's about 5 more cars trying to use that outside lane, and while obviously it's not the fastest way around, they're still hanging in there at least, as Brian Dean continues to put on a fight against J.R. Shepard and actually beats him to the line that time for second. It's just so tough, though, to consistently run that line well, and there you go, J.R. Shepard now in P2.
That's going to open the door for the 99 of James Lowe to stick his nose in there and try to get around. Looked like maybe a little bit of a bobble off the 98, but nonetheless, he looks like he's doing okay. Bruce Pearson on the apron trying to get a run on the 99 of James Lowe for fourth. So the battle is still on for that second spot. I'm awfully impressed with the tenacity on the 23 of Dean to hang in there on that outside line. You do have to wonder if tire wear may be something that he's thinking about, though. This is going to be quite a battle here. It's been going on for about the last 5-6 laps.
Yeah, it's almost like a risk reward. You got to know how much you can take on your tires, because even this is a big deal for J.R. Shepard too, because running that inside lane, you're having to brake sooner, you're having to turn in harder. So it's using up more tires for both these guys, and that could pay dividends for whoever is behind them later on in the race.
Yeah, it looks like Shepard might finally be clear of Dean, but Dean's still going to have to keep working on that outside because James Lowe is right there filling the space that Shepard was once in. And I thought he was maybe relenting for a second, but it looks like a gap is forming, and Dean may be able to slot in here as they head off into turn number 1.
Top 4 starting to make a gap. Moore, Shepard, Dean, and Lowe, as Wolfson actually made a move on Chris Moore and Bruce Pearson to move himself in the top 5. But right now, Donnie Moore extending his lead about a half second now over the field.
You always have to be suspect when J.R. Shepard is in that second spot, though, Devin, because he is notorious for saving his stuff and waiting for the right moment to strike. Battle for the 7th spot. Now Ruben Altice gets to the inside of the 96 of Bruce Pearson. Looks like Altice is going to have the position as they come around, but it's going to open the door for the 59 of Mike Allen to try to also get there. And looks like Altice actually able to fight off Pearson. So we've been really surprised by how great this outside line is working for these guys.
And behind him, though, Kurt Smith right now is falling like a rock, and that might even just be a case of pick and choose your battles. We've talked about tires so much already at the beginning of this race, and dropping back and back onto the wall there, he might just be trying to say, you know what, I don't want to fight these guys right now. I want to do something to conserve my tires, take my losses right now, move on.
Yeah, already a pretty action-filled race we've had so far. The leaders, Altice and Menda, actually getting together at one point. And that's actually what got our leader, Donnie Moore, out in front, as the gap is actually closing up quite a bit up front as well. So we're going to take a look in that direction. So what was about a half second, now down to about a quarter second. Donnie Moore leads over J.R. Shepard, and Brian Dean still hanging tough in that third position.
The top 4 is a second ahead of the rest of the field right now. Moore, Shepard, Dean, and Lowe are just forming a train and just rolling along Lanier National Raceway right now. And Donnie Moore's got to be getting a little bit scared seeing that Sunoco logo growing bigger in the rearview mirror.
So looking back now at the 98 of J.R. Shepard as we roll around the track here, you can see just how close he is. And looks like Brian Dean is beginning to circle as Shepard now makes a move to the inside. He's going to pull even with them as they head through the corner. Shepard will have the advantage, but Donnie Moore not giving up too much ground, and caution flag is out.
But hey, that was enough. I think that might have been enough for Shepard to get the lead. When that caution came out, we'll have to wait and see. But was Shepard listening to our interview with Chris Wilson? Because, man, that was a perfect diamond off the corner for J.R. Shepard to take the lead.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look here at what drew the caution. Looks like Austin Belkey going around. Ooh, it gets clobbered in the left front by the 81 and Joe Segala. Segala, unfortunately, kind of ran out of room there on the inside of the track.
And this is a place, you know, we talk about short tracks all the time when you just run out of room, there's nothing else that you can do. And here's a little bit earlier on in the race as our leaders kind of got together. Or no, actually, that was once again Jason Menda, but in a separate incident. And that kind of started an accordion effect there.
All right, so this is the initial incident between Menda and Altice, which cost them the lead. That we didn't really get a chance to touch on with everything going on. So that was for the lead off of restart when Altice and Menda got. They're glad we got another look at that one. Unfortunately, we had a caution that happened concurrently with that one. We didn't really get to take a look at, which has kind of been the biggest story of the race so far. So my timing and scoring is now showing Shepard up front. So it looks like at the time of caution, Shepard was scored as the leader. So now the onus is on the 26 of Donnie Moore to try to make the outside work.
Yeah, we'll see how the inside closes up. Brian Dean, who's kind of had some help on the outside lane, now he starts inside here and see if he can shut the door real quick.
So green flag is back out. We are once again underway as we work on lap 37 of 100. Looks like Donnie Moore and Shepard both, well, Donnie Moore able to get to the bottom cleanly. And look at Justin Morton on the outside now trying to strike on the 99 of James Lowe. Morton has had kind of a quiet race right now, but he's able to get past the 17 of Wolfson and now going to work on Lowe, who looks like he may have had just a slight bobble off of turn 4, but not enough to really cause him too much of a headache.
Morton looks like he wants to go for a catch for position on the outside almost, finally able to find his way back in line. He moves into the 5th position, and last time these guys were here, the Bootleg Racing League, Morton led 44 of the laps here at Lanier. J.R. Shepard would win the race, though, leading 56, and Morton still trying to trek his way up the field after starting 8th from the inversion from winning at Martinsville last week.
Yeah, Justin Morton definitely riding a hot streak in this division. He led all 100 laps at Martinsville a week ago. And we're going to take a look back here now. The battle between Ruben Altice, the 31 of Mike Holloway, and the 19 of Lowell Jewell, all battling for position. Jason Menda in there as well. Looks like we have about a 4-car battle for that 7th position.
Menda and Altice both just trying to find their way back up through the pack after that initial contact earlier on. And right now, Mike Holloway is just the guy stuck up top, has nowhere to go right now as he just has to watch the guys on the inside roll on by.
Now, Devin, growing up, were you a fan of Florida-style Sunny D or the California style?
I'm from the West, so I had to go California style all the time.
Oh, that's the worst. I think less of you right now. I just want you to know that.
I don't blame you whatsoever, but what I do gotta say is regardless of what Sunny D scheme I've seen these past like 5 years in NASCAR or whatever, tell you what, they look good, and it's looking pretty good on Holloway's car.
I don't disagree with you one bit there. As looks like he is still hanging out in that outside groove. I imagine it's probably not by choice at this point. 71 of John Hine up there as well. So just a slew of drivers kind of caught out in that outside groove towards the back of the field. But you got to think that is adding grip up there. The more drivers you have running up there, obviously the more rubber is going to be laid down. Do you think maybe those guys running up there could possibly create that groove to be functional later on?
It could potentially, as we look even up front, they're starting to do it a little bit more as Brian Dean has been pushed out to the outside lane, and we're getting close to halfway. And I am really curious if that top lane will come in. You can see on the inside it is rubbering up. It's getting a little bit darker. but I just don't know if it's going to be enough for a track like Lanier to grow another lane that can be competitive.
That's true, and you see a little bit of counter steering there by the 23 as he does give up the position to James Lowe. So we have 3 pretty strong drivers in that top 3. J.R. Shepard out front with going to be close to a second advantage at this point, and Donnie Moore in second, James Lowe third, and now Justin Morton able to clear Brian Dean and take over command of the 4th position.
How about the principal, Chris Wolfson, starting to merge his way into the picture, and behind him, don't look now, it's that 11 car, Ruben Altice, working his way back up front.
Yeah, I've come to kind of notice when we interview drivers in the pre-race show, and they seem to all say, the car's really loose, I'm not sure how it's going to go, mid-pack would be a good finish. Usually they end up having pretty good days.
Yeah, I'd say so far so good for Wolfson. He's been able to have a little bit of luck with Altice and Menda tangling earlier on in the race, but now he's going to be looking for a way to reel in Dean and try to get into the top 5.
And Brian Dean has lost a couple positions these last few laps, but these last several races in this series, Dean has been very strong. So don't be too surprised if he's able to work his way back up through the field as we take a look at our leader, J.R. Shepard, one of the stalwarts of the Bootleg Racing League, and he is the defending champion of this division. This is just the 2nd season that they've ran the Grand National division. Previously, the SK Modified division was the headliner for the Bootleg Racing League, and this driver was a multi-time champion and looking to carry that legacy over to the Grand National car.
1.7 second lead, and now right behind him, James Lowe trying to find his way to second. Nothing better in J.R. Shepard's rearview mirror than 2 guys side by side, but yellow flag out on the track, right by J.R. Shepard actually.
Well, I've seen J.R. Shepard end up the victim of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time when a lap down caution occurs. It looks like Brad Speidel in his 2nd incident of the night, as well as the 59 of Mike Allen. Keeping an eye here on what's going on. You see Speidel looking to the inside and makes contact with the quarter, and Kurt Smith, just a passenger on that one. And Bruce Pearson caught up as well.
Then right after that, your leader comes by, and that's when you go, thank you for holding the brakes, everyone. And just a case there, you wanted to get the nose in there. How much you willing to give? How much you willing to take? Speidel took a little bit too much. J.R. Shepard blind off of 2. Whoa. Okay, good thing everyone stayed where they were.
Yeah, I can recall one of probably the first races I called for the Bootleg Racing League back when they were still doing the SK Modified division. Shepard was putting a hurting on him, and just so happens that there was a caution right in front of him. No time to react, and he actually ended up flipped on his lid. So he's been very careful since then when he starts to approach lap traffic, and he's done a pretty solid job of maintaining in those incidences. So right before we went to caution, the battle was on for that 2nd spot between the 26 of Donnie Moore, the 99 of James Lowe. Looks like Donnie Moore, from what I can tell, still being scored as holding the position, as we're just beginning, or working lap 61, I should say. So J.R. Shepard leads over Donnie Moore and James Lowe. Justin Morton hanging out in 4th, and Brian Dean relegated to the 5th position. Pretty much break even from where he started. But like I said, don't be too surprised to see the 23 work his way back up. He did put a hurting on those tires at one point with that prolonged battle with Shepard. But I think he's a driver that still could have something to say before this race is over.
Absolutely, and looking at that scoring pylon, how about the boss man? Jula is halfway through the field right now as he's entered into the top 10.
Yeah, Lowell Jewell having a tremendous race. Started 17th. Green flag is back out. Looks like James Lowe gets a heck of a restart. He'll now pull to the inside of the 26 of Donnie Moore. But Moore gets a pretty good run out on top as well. With Justin Morton beginning to close in on them as well.
Man, and J.R. Shepard just took off like a rocket ship there at the green flag. He has already extended his lead out to 7/10 here on the back straightaway as Lowe trying to find a way to clear Donnie Moore. You want to be able on the straightaways to get all the way up to the wall so you can arc as far as you can into this corner and just there's not enough room yet for Lowe to try to make that move. Finally gets it, and now Moore's in trouble here with Brian Dean on the inside.
So Donnie Moore giving up the second spot, and now maybe even giving up third. Brian Dean to the inside. Ooh, he's going to open the door for Justin Morton. Looked like Morton was thinking about going 3 wide for just a second. Thought better of it. And he's now going to follow very close to the 23 to try to follow him through and get past the 26. And the caution flag is back out on the speedway. So it looks like the 96 of Bruce Pearson involved. We're going to take a look at the replay here. So here he is running on the inside of the track. Joe Segala to his outside, Mike Holloway behind him. And looks like he slides up, ends up dooring the 81 of Segala. So Segala gets unfortunately mixed, but gosh, what a tough break for the 6 of Kurt Smith.
Yeah, it's been a tough night now, it looks like. Man, just stuck wrong place, completely wrong time, and man, I don't know if he used his fast repair, but man, that old Mark Martin throwback is looking about as old as that car was.
Yeah, you gotta think he must have broken a mirror today or something.
he broke his good luck. Any luck. It's just bad luck, it seems like, tonight.
Yeah, so 2 cautions for Kurt Smith, literally none of them his fault. But that car has seen better days. Thankfully, with it being iRacing, it's just he can start the next race and it'll be fine. No long nights in the garage required. But still, it definitely hurts when you have the potential to have a good run and it's taken away at no fault of your own.
And I gotta wonder, for now, I believe 3 seasons, Bootleg Racing League has done Dirt Street Stock Series. I'm wondering if that's just being a completely bad impression on everyone else, because boy, you can go 3 wides last night in the Dirt Street Stocks at Lanier, but it looked like they were contemplating going 3 wide here on the asphalt setup. You don't do that here. The leader's up front. I mean, I don't know if they were thinking. I think that was who? Morton might have been peeking a nose in there, but man, 3 wide don't work here when you're on asphalt.
Yeah, it looked really close like Morton was going to send it up the inside, and I cringed a little bit, and then he backed out and couldn't catch my breath again, but it looked like he was going to try to do something that had literally no chance of working. So green flag is back out. Shepard and Lowe, your front row. Donnie Moore sticking his nose right in there to the inside of Lowe as they charge off at turn number 2. So Donnie Moore fighting back for that second position. Justin Morton right behind him. But that's going to allow the 98 of J.R. Shepard to get away. James Lowe, as you'll recall, was our runner-up 1 season ago, had to miss a race earlier on in the season. So he's fighting his way back from a pretty hefty points deficit. Has got it worked down to 42 points difference between himself and Shepard, but he still has a long way to go to get back up into the mix in this series.
Look who's fighting side by side for 6. It's Jason Menda and Ruben Altice back there side by side trying to pick their way back up into the top 5 after their issues earlier. And that's just one of those things. You start up front, you want to finish up front, and now they're about banging doors down the back straight.
And it always seems to happen where the guy that you had issues with earlier on in the event, you always end up right next to each other again. It's crazy how that works.
Absolutely, and sometimes you wouldn't want it any other way, because at least you're hoping if you were the guy who maybe had some wrong done to him already. All right, man, cut me a break now. Let's get racing.
I will say that it looks like Ruben is not giving him any room down on the inside. I mean, we could barely fit a sheet of paper between those 2 cars.
And that is absolutely what you want to do if you want to try to pinch someone off right there and you want to be able to completely limit them on corner exit and entry. But Mendes had a little bit too much power down there on the inside lane, able to claim that 6th spot. Now he's going to go on a hunt here as Brian Dean stuck on the outside, looking to fight his way to the top 5.
So it looks like up front, Justin Morton was actually able to get around the 99 of James Lowe. He runs in the 3rd spot. You can see him now going to the inside of Donnie Moore for 2nd, up a few spots as we still ride along here with Ruben Altice on his great adventure, we'll call it, moving his way back up through the field.
19 to go here as Morton continues to close in on Donnie Moore. trying to continue his win streak here in the Grand National Series, sweep the weekend last weekend at Martinsville, trying to upset J.R. Shepard's what would be perfect weekend after winning the modified race earlier. But boy, 1.7 second lead right now for J.R. Shepard. He is just running away from the field.
Yeah, it's probably going to take some good luck in the hands of the rest of the field to be able to get back up there, but nonetheless, still a tremendous battle being waged right now between the 26 of Moore, the 9 of Morton, and you have some heavy hitters behind them as well in James Lowe and Brian Dean. So 15 to go now with that battle still raging for the second position, and getting word a caution is out right now. Taking a look at the track to figure out who was at fault. Looks like Austin Belke in the 24. And looked like just kind of a chain reaction incident there, Devin.
Yeah, it looks like Hein might have checked up a little bit as they're able to ride on board here with Belke going into turn 1 here. They're both under the yellow line, it looked like, trying to battle for real estate, and yeah, just that good old accordion effect. One guy slows down, and these cars are so low, the bumpers are so high, you can't see when the guy 2 cars in front of you checks up. And if you don't have that reaction time, which sometimes it just doesn't matter, which it looked like there, boy, everyone just piles into each other.
And I can only imagine how many swear words Kurt Smith let fly there as he watched another caution happen right in front of him. Thankfully, he was not involved this time, but nonetheless, he's had pretty much the worst luck in Georgia. So happy to see him able to escape that one unscathed. So working lap 88 right now of 100. It's J.R. Shepard leading over Donnie Moore and Justin Morton, your top 3. You can see the 6 of Kurt Smith getting the wave around, so he'll tag back onto the back of the field. Should, I believe, put him back on the lead lap.
He will be, and hey, I always say top 15, right? That's good. Top 15. Oh, well, wait, there's 17 cars.
You don't have to mention that part, man.
Just always try to make it the best case scenario, right?
Yeah, you always leave in the good details. You hold out the bad. I have exactly one win to my record in iRacing, but I never mentioned the fact that one win had me be the only car running at the end.
That doesn't matter, though. You got the win, right?
Exactly. I took the checkered flag first. It was just me out there by myself at the end, but that's not important.
And Kurt Smith goes, hey, man, I finished top 15 Grand National Series. How many cars were there? I don't know. For all you know, there could have been 40. It was top 15 finish.
Exactly. So we're going to be around 10 to go here when we get back to the green. The flag is waving, and Justin Morton gets a tremendous start. He's going to have Donnie Moore just about clear by the time we get to turn 1. And he will be able to slide up in front of him as they head off into turn number 3. So now Justin Morton in the runner-up position, trying to run down your leader, J.R. Shepard, with 10 laps to go. The battle is on right now for 4th, the 23 of Brian Dean, the 99 of James Lowe, and the 45 of Jason Menda, waging battle for that position.
Menda trying to fight his way back into that top 5. It's felt like forever since he's been there now, but now just has 2 bumpers side by side. You obviously got to hope that what's going to happen is the inside line prevails, but it's tough just having to sit there and watch and wait for someone to finally get an advantage on the other driver in front of you.
I got to say, it'd not be very fun to be riding behind the 99 of James Lowe right now with what it says on the back of his car.
Well, hey, I tell you what, you want to get around him as soon as possible, right?
That's even more incentive right there. You see Menda get a little bit of a slide off the corner there. He loses a little bit of ground. And how about the 19 of Lowell Jewell working to the inside of Ruben Altice for 7th? Lowell's dead last, 17th on the track. And he is working his way up through the field. Ooh, Brian Dean goes around. Jason Menda contacted, as well as Ruben Altice piling in there. So we had 3 cars that were right up there in the mix, all having a big incident there on the track. So that, with only 4 laps remaining, that could be the end of the race, and also going to have major implications on the finish of this one.
Yeah, that one was tough there. So got to almost right along with some of the guys who got in trouble there with Brian Dean. It looked like he was the guy who was way up on the outside who might have got, I don't know, a little bit of help or something. But Ruben Altice, that's another guy who's just had bad luck today from the start of the race to what now might be the finish of the race. Had nothing to do with that one. Just got collected at the very end. And Lowe just absolutely tried to go in there hot, got into the bumper, and boy, Ruben Altice, bad luck today. And Kurt Smith, bad luck today.
Yeah, if we had a tough luck of the race award, I think those two would be prime candidates. Ruben Altice, for all we know, could have been the winner of this one had he not tangled with Menda there. And Kurt Smith, just this one kind of feels like a throwaway for him.
But hey, actually, he's moved up to 12th place now, so Kurt Smith making something out of nothing there, making the best out of what he's got, right?
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to take the white flag here. This one should be finishing under caution. So another victory for J.R. Shepard. And Justin Morton backing up his win at Martinsville a week ago with a runner-up finish. That's a pretty good 2-week stretch.
Yeah, but still just trying to chase behind J.R. Shepard. Came in 20 points behind, and now J.R. Shepard with his third victory of the season. And I know that he was the class of the field all night, but Justin Morton finally got up to second place, and I know that he would have wished that he could have got just a few green flag laps to see if he had anything for J.R. Shepard.
So we're going to see Shepard come across the line as the checkered flag waves. He will be your winner tonight over the 9 car of Justin Morton. So a tremendous night of racing for J.R. Shepard as he takes yet another victory here in the Bootleg Racing League. And with that, we're going to take just a very brief break, but don't look away. We're going to be having our full race results, interviews with our top finishers, as well as a nice little wrap up on this program. So we'll head to break, and you stay nearby. All right, we are back here at Lanier National Speedway on the Global SimRacing Channel, putting a nice little bow on a great night of racing here at Lanier National. Going to give you the rundown here of our finishing order. A tremendous victory once again for J.R. Shepard as he extends his points lead after the 5th round of the season. Justin Morton backs up a win from 1 week ago to finish in the runner-up position here tonight. Third place is going to be the 26 of Donnie Moore after leading several laps. Then James Lowe, still on his recovery from missing tonight, backs up a pretty strong performance in 4th. Jason Menda and Ruben Altice will make up the next 2 positions after tangling in the top spots earlier in the event. Lowell Jewell marches from dead last at the start to finish in 7th, while the 76 of Brad Speidel finishes in the transfer position. He will start on the pole next week. Chris Wolfson in 9th, and then Bruce Pearson, another driver that had an eventful show, will come home closing out the top 10.
Joe Segala ends the night in 11th. Kurt Smith, boy, a lot of bad luck, but able to bring it up to 12th. Austin Belkey ends up in 13th. John Hine in 14th. Brian Dean wraps up your top 15. Then Mike Holloway in 16th, and Mike Allen rounded out tonight's field.
Well, he's done spraying the champagne for a moment, so we'll catch up with our winner, J.R. Shepard. J.R., looked like a pretty fun race out there for you. Tell us about your ride.
Yeah, competition was extremely tight tonight. So it's one of those races where you had to have a lot of patience, and I took my time trying to pass a few guys because I knew that you were going to have to save those rear tires for the end of the race. And just thankfully things worked out, and the cautions kind of fell in my favor.
Now, speaking of that, we watched you and the 23 of Brian Dean. You guys raced side by side for what seemed like forever there at the beginning. How are you able to kind of defend your position but not really use up your equipment when you're in that type of situation?
It's tough, and it takes somebody like Brian that will race you hard but still race you clean and give you some respect. So we went, I don't know how many laps side by side, and I'm sure he was trying to take care of his equipment too. And it's trying to get the most out of the car without having the rear tire spin. So it's pretty tough, but it's fun when you can do it.
Now, it was a pretty physical race out there, and we actually noticed at one point drivers towards the back that tangled as you were coming up to put them a lap down. What kind of went through your head as you were closing in on drivers that were possibly wrecking right in front of you as the leader?
Yeah, I did not want that at all. So I saw them racing hard, and they actually wrecked. And Lanier's one of those tracks where the caution kind of comes out late, and I had to stay in the throttle as long as I could until I saw the yellow flag come out. And it's risky. I was afraid we might get into them, but thankfully they stayed to the bottom.
All right, JR, anybody you want to thank that helped make your night possible?
Yeah, just thanks to the Bootleg Racing League for allowing us to do this on Saturdays, and the Crew Shop for being a great title sponsor, and to GSRC for everything you guys do. And, of course, I'm going to give a shout-out to Justin and Donnie. They ran great races tonight.
All right, well, thanks again for taking a second to talk with us, JR. And now Devin is, I believe, going to catch up with our runner-up tonight, Justin Morton, in car number 9.
Coming home in P2 tonight after a win last week at Martinsville, Justin Morton able to battle his way up from the invert. And Justin, boy, it took a lot. There was quite a bit of stoppage of time in the middle of that race throughout. But how tough was it moving up from that last spot of the invert to try to bring yourself back up and finish in second?
Yeah, it's really tough moving through the invert because those are the guys who are battling, starting from the same spot we were last week. And those cautions, it didn't really make it easy, but yeah, slowly made our way through there.
And we saw a lot of guys having to deal with a surface that was just kind of slick. It just felt really slippery throughout the night. How did you combat that as you're trying to get under cars and sometimes having to fight on the outside of guys as well?
Yeah, I made a mistake earlier in the night in the SK Mod race. I slid up into a guy. So you really, when you're on the inside, you really have to make sure you don't slide out into the other guy on exit. These things really wanted to snap off, and you had to really use some throttle control.
Well, it took 100 laps. It felt like 100 laps, and just before the finish, able to bring it up to second. Who do you got to thank for your performance tonight?
Yeah, I thank my team, TDR, Black Box, Open Wheeler, GSRC.com for sponsoring us, Cruise Shop for the series, Lowell for running the league, and you guys for doing these broadcasts.
Hey, it's great to do them. You guys always put on a great show. Justin Morton finishing off in second. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll head on over. Chris has your third place finisher, Donnie Moore.
Well, Donnie, that was a pretty exciting one for you. You found yourself in the lead, but the way you got there was a little interesting. What was going through your head when the 11 and the 45 seemed to try to take each other out there for just a second?
Yeah, that happened pretty quick in front of me. Fortunately, I was able to get around Ruben there. It's unfortunate for those two guys. I did acquire the lead, didn't stay there very long, but...
Now, JR is pretty good at this track, it would seem, and you were trying to run him down at one point, and that's a pretty tall order, but nonetheless looked like you gave it your all out there, and looked like a pretty strong race for you. How does that third place finish feel?
Yeah, JR's pretty good at this track and a few others. I'm real happy with third place finish. Don't have a lot of time in this car, so I'm real happy with that. Boy, I was really trying not to overdrive the car. It's so easy to, especially after coming from the modified. So I was trying to be smooth, and I could see Justin coming too, but trying to hold him off, but didn't happen.
Now, we're going to be heading down to New Smyrna next weekend, a bit of a different track than what we have here. What are your prospects on that track for next week?
Generally, I like New Smyrna, but in this car, all bets are off. We'll see what happens. Let's try to get some seat time during the week and see what we can do.
All right, Donnie, anybody you want to thank to help make your night possible today?
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, thanks to the cruise shop for being a great sponsor for us. And also, I want to give a shout out to my buddies at Stone River Outfitters. Boy, if you want to have anything to do with fly fishing, check those guys out. And of course, thank the Bootleg Racing and of course you guys for being a great. How are you doing? All right, we're done here. Yeah.
All right, thanks for joining us, Donnie.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, and with that, we are going to wrap things up here tonight from virtual Lanier National Speedway. We do have some special thanks to hand out. Want to thank the Cruise Shop once again for their sponsorship. To reach them, give them a call at 260-755-6125 or visit thecruiseshopfw.com. We, of course, want to thank the Bootleg Racing League for allowing us the opportunity to broadcast their events each and every week. And we do also want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for all of our race broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides us her wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And of course, want to thank our crew today, Devin, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Next race for this series will be 1 week from tonight at the New Smyrna Speedway. That's Saturday, May 2nd, 8:50 Eastern. We also have other upcoming races for our other series listed on the screen, so make sure to mark those down and check them out. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.